Welcome back to the Disrupt Desk. We're here to get you caught up on everything that you might have missed with expert analysis from the show. On this desk, we're going to be talking about venture capital, and then after this, we'll head into the Battlefield Finals, which means it's a great time to take a stroll down memory lane. Right now, let's hear from some of the Battlefield alumni who have graced our stage in years past. First up, we have Give Legacy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Khalid Kateli, and I'm the founder and CEO of Legacy. And just under 3 years ago, I received an email that was going to change the trajectory of my company. I just landed in Berlin airport. It was 8 p.m. I was exhausted and ready for bed. But the subject line of the email was, "Congratulations. You've been selected as TechCrunch Disrupt Startup Battlefield's wildcard entry. Show up tomorrow morning with a full deck, a full presentation, and get ready to pitch to the judges." I said, okay, let's make this happen. We ended up winning the competition, and a lot has changed since then. So let me tell you a little bit about Legacy. We help men test, improve, and preserve their fertility without ever having to go to a clinic. And in doing so, we're working on changing this outdated view that fertility is just a quote unquote women's issue. So you go to givelegacy.com, you place an order for a kit, and you'll receive that kit the next business day. We'll onboard you with one of our specialists. You then produce the sample from the comfort of your own home. We take care of picking it up, shipping it to our lab, where you'll go through a full semen analysis and even a DNA fragmentation test. You'll receive your results the next business day. And we've built out a platform that allows you to access leading doctors, as well as products and solutions for you to improve the quality of your sperm. And finally, you can choose to put your sperm into long-term or short-term cryogenic storage for the years or even decades to come. So we started the company as a D2C company, but we always knew that there was so much more room to grow our channels. Today, we're covered by most major insurance companies in New York State or in California. And thanks to a partnership with the Military Family Building Coalition, we've signed exclusive programs for the military, such as the Navy SEALs, to help them freeze their sperm before they're at risk of being wounded or killed in action. And finally, there's millions of employees who are now covered by employer fertility benefits that now offer Legacy as a service which these employees do not have to pay out of pocket for. So take a look at that tiny little blip all the way over there. That was us in November 2018. A lot's changed since then, as you can see. In 2020 alone, we grew 7x. In 2021 so far, we've already 3.5x our revenue. And since the beginning of the year, we've already 5x our headcount. Now, clearly, there's a lot more room to grow. When I ask myself, how do you normalize Legacy as a no-brainer for every man by making it affordable, convenient, and destigmatized? What do you need to make that happen? Well, there's a fair amount of education and awareness that needs to take place. So first of all, you start by bringing on some of the world's best VCs. Firstmark, Bain Capital Ventures, YC, Tribe Capital, Section 32. But then you go further than that. What you need is a group of A-list celebrities who are going to step up, speak openly about fertility, speak openly about wanting to be a good dad, and who are ultimately going to help represent the company to the rest of the world and help shape perceptions of male fertility. That's why today I'm proud to announce our multi-million-dollar celebrity round with folks like Justin Bieber, DJ Khaled, my namesake, The Weeknd, and even Orlando Bloom. Really excited to see what happens over the next 3 years, and thank you to TechCrunch for taking us to where we are today.
Legacy is such a cool company. I love a good underdog story. We actually have a wild card in this year's Battlefield as well, so I'm excited to see them present again. Next up, we're going to hear from Mutiny HQ. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Jaleh Rezai, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mutiny. Prior to founding Mutiny, I led marketing at Gusto, where I discovered the biggest problem in growth, which is that companies lose 19 out of every $20 they spend on growth because of inefficiencies in their marketing. Fix this, and your company will grow significantly faster. What's happening here is that marketing teams spend over $1 trillion collectively to drive demand through platforms like advertising, through content, SEO, and community. And we hope that this spend on demand converts into revenue. But the problem is that it doesn't. The majority of those people end up dropping out of the funnel because they go through generic experiences that don't really resonate with them. When I was at Gusto, we solved this problem by building a dedicated growth engineering team to help identify customers and give them better experiences. And this is a trend that we see across some of the fastest growing tech companies today. So what are all of these growth engineers doing? Well, they're doing the same thing at different companies for the most part. They usually start by integrating data and analytics to try to understand which are the audiences and parts of the funnel that are not converting. Then they strategize by talking to other growth engineers to understand how they can improve that experience. Then they build a bespoke optimization for the end user and measure the result. This process is incredibly expensive and slow, and not to mention not accessible to most companies and marketing departments. This is why we built Mutiny, a no-code platform that solves the art and science of conversion for every company without needing engineers. We have pre-integrated data that allows our customers to identify their audiences. We use AI to help our customers understand which audiences are underperforming and how to improve their experience. We have a no-code visual editor that allows any non-technical marketer to push out the changes to the website. And we have analytics built in so they know exactly what's working. Across our platform, we can identify 73% of visitors. Our customers launch 15 experiences within their first 30 days because of how easy it is to use and onboard. And we see 108% lift in conversions across winning personalized experiences. We're working with some of the fastest growing SaaS companies and are honored to be a part of their journey. Customers such as Segment, Carta, and Brex. And since TechCrunch Disrupt, we have made major investments in our machine learning infrastructure. And in particular, I wanted to bring up two new announcements that we made. One, we raised our Series A from Sequoia and a roster of CMOs from companies like Snowflake and Salesforce who believe in our mission of improving conversion to drive growth. And we are hiring big time. And two, we now use AI to write personalized website copy. If you're interested, please try our interactive demo on our website. And if you would like to join Mutiny as a mutineer, please go on our website and apply through one of our open jobs. Thank you.
Marketing can definitely be a challenge for some founders. Mutiny is doing a lot to solve that. And if that resonates with you, then maybe you want to check out my conversation with Ryan Reynolds later today. We talked a lot about marketing and how you can be successful there. We have one more company to check out, finally. It's 207. Take a look.
Hello, my name is Shinya Takayanagi, CEO of 207 Corporation. After graduating from college, I've been launching some small businesses. In 2018, on my birthday on February 7th, I founded 207 Corporation, which is the first startup company in my life. 207 Corporation is a company that promotes logistics DX under the mission of creating a global logistics network where things can be solved anytime, anywhere. Currently, we offer two main services. One is Toroku Supporter, which is an efficiency-enhancing application that solves various issues of last-mile logistics. Another one is a delivery platform called Schema Bin that utilizes gig workers. We will popularize Toroku Supporter as freemium. And by utilizing the delivery efficiency data obtained using it, we will create a platform called Schema Bin that allows even gig workers to be smoothly dispatched. Despite no recognition for around 3 years since I founded 207 Corporation, we were blessed with the opportunity to win the TechCrunch Japan at the end of 2020. And then get to know many people in terms of public relations, recruitment, and financing from venture capitals. It has had a positive effect, specifically in the number of staff, sales, development, and more that was tripled soon after. We have received many interviews and we plan to complete the second round of financing since our funding this month. I never dreamed of winning when I received the award from TechCrunch Japan. It can be said that this is a great example of an unknown startup gained some attention through the victory. Also, funding has been proceeded smoothly. Japan is the third largest GDP market in the world, and even though there are many excellent companies, there are few investments from outside Japan. We are now ready to accept foreign investment, and we wish to have more connections with foreign investors in the future. We would love to have discussion with many investors. So we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
It's always cool to catch up with our Battlefield alumni. So thank you for all of those companies for checking in with us. Now it is time to bring up my, well, I was going to say partner in crime, but we're actually pretty straight-laced. Please welcome yet again TechCrunch breaking news editor Daryl Etherington. Very cool vest today, Daryl.
This is because it's VC themed. So look, I wore the outfit. It's a real Patagonia one. And I'm here to do some crime.
I was gonna
like VCs do.
I was gonna do some crime. I was gonna ask if you have some personal news. Are you going TC to VC or something?
No, I just play one on TV sometimes.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's jump into some of what we saw this morning. Our first clip comes from a conversation we had with Katie Hahn around crypto regulation. She said that the onus is really on tech firms to get involved with Washington when it comes to regulation. Let's hear her say it in her own words.
One of the things I've learned, and as you know, I spent over a decade in DC. One of the things I've learned when I go back to Washington, DC is, wow, we still as an industry have a lot of work to do to, and I don't want to use the word educate because I think it's paternalistic. We're talking about extremely smart individuals, extremely sophisticated individuals. So for lack of a better word, educate, but we really need to do a better job explaining the different uses of this technology. And also, by the way, Lucas, the potential, because I think a lot of what gets lost today is I hear people say, well, you say this about DeFi, you say this about ownership of NFTs or digital goods, you say this about stable coins and all of the things they can do, but they don't do that today. And I think in some ways that's a fair criticism. I think we need to speak about what we see the potential as.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem is we don't have a ton of transparency around just how like Silicon Valley works with the government. I mean, we see CEOs go into congressional hearings, and we know that there's a bunch of lobbying going on. But should there be a stronger and maybe more transparent bridge between these two worlds? What do you think, Daryl?
Yeah, I mean, I think they are in conversation quite a bit, more than probably most people would expect or suspect based on a lot of the stuff that we see, because we see these congressional hearings and we see a lot of what comes out of those, at least what is reported out of those is senators making totally absurd comments that prove that they're very out of touch, right? Which is true, but like a lot of their staffers are not that, right? It's just like people who are perhaps advancing in years aren't as up to date with the new technologies as they might be, right? But I think that definitely, to Katie's point, like there could be, the onus is on the tech companies to provide that information, if only because they far outnumber the regulators, right? So those people can't be going around chasing down a lot of the info, especially when you're trying to show off that positive side, because people are going to hear about the negatives, and that's why we typically see them attacking those. And that's they should be doing that, right? Because their duty is to kind of protect people, but their duty is also to make sure people have the best livelihoods going forward, which means focusing on that upside.
Yeah, it feels like our view is mostly that of contention between those two parties. And I think if not like outright contention, it's, you know, they don't seem to understand one another at all, right? It's a lot of like, well, you don't get it. Well, no, you don't get it. Do you think there are good ways or better ways for Silicon Valley to build good faith relationships with regulators, maybe even out in the open?
I mean, they could, more cross-pollination is always good in terms of actually like having people who have careers in the one sphere go and have careers in the other, right? It's kind of like, it's a terrible analogy, but like if you had a kingdom in the old days and you would trade your son to the rival kingdom, to marry their
Wow.
daughter to solidify
Okay.
your allegiances. I think that we need to have, some tech founders just have their children marry the children of the regulators to bridge those gaps.
Yeah.
Not literally though, but
Let's bring back dowries for sure. Great. Thank you so much. Again, expert analysis here on the Disrupt Desk. Let's move into our next clip. This one comes from a conversation with Marcelo Clore, who is CEO at SoftBank International Group. Connie asked him about the top sectors for investment in Latin America. Let's check out what Marcelo had to say.
I mean, I think founders are attacking everything, right? They're attacking, transportation, that's a really broken Latin America. What I like to see founders is there's two chronic issues in Latin America. It's education and health. And I think through the pandemic in Brazil, you have a tremendous emergence of online universities with tutors that actually help you, that you really don't need to drive to school for an hour or two. And you have it at all levels. You have it from primary school to secondary school to vocational schools to universities. So I'm very happy with that, but I like to see that happen in other parts of Latin America because the foundation of a country is based on education. Healthcare is broken. It takes you 2 to 3 months to get an appointment to a doctor unless you belong to a certain class. But for the masses, it's very difficult. Through the pandemic, we have seen the explosion of telehealth, and in many cases, pretty advanced AI diagnosed without the need to see a patient. So I like to see that. I mean, obviously, fintech is the logical one, as banks in Latin America are the most profitable banks in the world, incumbents who charge you for even breathing. And the penetration of banking is very low in Latin America. So that's the obvious one. You have every entrepreneur figure out how you're going to give a debit card, how you're going to give credit, how you're going to finance your home, because the rates of financing are among the lowest in the world. So that's a no-brainer. But I personally like to see us make the same improvement with making fintech as it relates to education and health.
Yeah, it feels like maybe Latin America has the advantage of seeing how startups in these same sectors have grown in other regions.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think that's been the case. I remember, maybe a decade or so ago, we used to see a very popular strategy out of Europe with like the rocket internet era was to kind of copy the innovations of North America and Silicon Valley in particular, right? And I think that it's what you're saying. Like you can see the model there, see what works, try to apply it at home. But I think what's interesting about what Marcelo was saying there is like those are the areas that still need major innovation here, right? Like education and healthcare are still places that we need to do lots to shake up the model for, and are still the most entrenched against that kind of thing. And I think it's an incentive problem kind of across the board, right? So I think what Marcelo is talking about there is not unique to Latin America, is perhaps exacerbated in Latin America because maybe they're just kind of a little bit further behind the curve in terms of thinking about it, but it's something where everywhere we need to rethink how those things are incentivized in order to encourage more disruption and innovation in those spaces.
100%. Okay, so before we jump into the Battlefield finals, I thought we have just a little bit of time to catch up one more time with one of our Startup Alley companies. Let's take a look. This is Hamper.
Ugh, laundry day. Just piles of maybe clean, maybe dirty laundry. And then you gotta fold it? But what if doing laundry was as easy as ordering a pizza? I know what you're thinking, on-demand laundry. It's been tried before. But the models were flawed. They couldn't scale. And they weren't coming to Lafayette, Louisiana, where I live. I'm Laurel Hess, founder and CEO of Hamper, and I'm a working mom on a mission. At Hamper, we created the first truly scalable on-demand laundry solution because this $56 billion industry is still untapped. For $39 per year, you gain access to a marketplace of washers who will pick up your laundry and return it the next day, fresh and folded, for as little as $10 per load. And it's so successful that since launching last year, we've acquired over 2,300 members, and this month we're on pace to hit a run rate of $1 million, all with an LTV to CAC of 5-to-1. It's not all fluff. It's time to break free from the laundry room and take Hamper for a spin.
Okay, well, I love her, so that's thing one. Thing two, I mean, we have seen a lot of online kind of like direct-to-consumer laundry services fail. You know, it seems like maybe she's going the subscription route. Do you think that that is what makes it work, Daryl? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I want this. I'm thinking about a huge pile of laundry that I have like just off camera that you can't see. It's definitely something that I'm
Vest
using.
not included.
This thing doesn't need to be clean. It's cleaned by money, all the money that I make from my investments. So I think for me the question there is, like you said, like she talked about how other ones have failed, and she didn't really bring up why theirs won't, except for kind of like approaching it by distributing it in geos where maybe it wasn't available previously, which to me is like not a super competitive advantage. Like the price point sounded good. I think that the sub plus the thing like that is in the same way that Instacart has that, and you know, like it makes you want to use it more when you have the sub and you're like, oh, well, I'm getting this basically for free, so I might as well use it, right? So that it might be appealing, but I would love to hear more about the tech of like, what are you doing? Because for that to be differentiated, you need something where it's like, well, we actually have a proprietary algorithm that like allocates loads and like tells people like we can optimize for the pickups and the drop-offs so that it's like hyper efficient or something like that, right? So like that's what I would want to hear more about to be more convinced. I mean, in general, I think the idea is good, but there is a reason why it hasn't worked to date, and I don't know that she addressed, at least in that little pitch, why they're going to do it.
Right. You think you need like back-end software for the actual like laundromats, right? Or something that would kind of tie it all together, because I think you're right about the subscription model. If you can get all the laundromats on that price, then you automatically scale. But what are you then, right? So anyway, thank you, VC Daryl, for all the wisdom that you've brought to us today. You really are just like the light of my life, man.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, you too, Jordan. I got to go take some calls. I got some very important calls to get on, checks to write, you know, VC stuff.